was born in Guatemala in 1963. My mother is half Guatemalan and half Chinese. She was orphaned early in life and was rejected by both the Chinese and Guatemalan sides. She was the first woman ever in medical school in Guatemala, but they never allowed her to practice, so she ended up studying in the U.S. and found herself at Wayne State University. My father's also mixed race. He's part Native American. One of his great-grandmothers was snatched off the Trail of Tears by a plantation overseer who liked the way she looked. He's part African, with ancestors being slaves from Madagascar. And he's part European. His grandfather came from Normandy and didn't know while you could have a relationship with a black woman, you weren't supposed to marry her. He met my mother while studying at Wayne State University. After they got married, she had to go back to Guatemala so she could change her status on her visa, so he followed her after graduating and taught English while there. We moved back to Detroit when I was a baby. The 60s were a turbulent time in Detroit. I started school, but while I understood English, I only spoke Spanish. So I was punished for not speaking properly and for being left-handed. The Vietnam War was going on, and the bomb raid drills we had in school made us all afraid. Then there were the race riots. That brought the fear much closer to home. I would see the army vehicles rumbling down the street, and it made me think the war had hit home soil. I didn't realize it was about race until I caught a black kid that I'd just been playing with the other day, trying to firebomb my house. When I asked him why, he put his hand next to mine and told me it was because I was white. So we moved to a new neighborhood where the white kids crossed the street when they saw us, and I first heard the N-word. Looking different from other kids and bringing weird food for lunch, that didn't help me fit in at school. So I started speaking only English at home. I would take the braids out of my hair as soon as I left the house, and I ditched my lunches in the trash uneaten. But all of that was just a backdrop to the real trauma. I was abused, molested, assaulted. No, I was raped. By relatives, family friends, schoolmates, even strangers on the street. People try to diminish rape with words like incest or fondled or inappropriate touch. But it's violence, to the body and to the mind. Sometimes I didn't tell anyone because they threatened to kill you, to kill your family. They tell you no one will believe you, or worse, your family won't love you anymore. You'll be outcast, damaged goods. Sometimes I did tell, though, but it didn't do any good. Sometimes they just didn't believe me. And sometimes I was punished for messing up their view of a perfect world. Crying, expressions of rage, anger, all those negative emotions, they just weren't tolerated. So I didn't know what I was or who I was or how I fit in. What I did know was that I was alone and there was no one to protect me. So I learned to protect myself. Protection could be literal, as in knives or a bat and later guns. But there is also protection you couldn't see. I walled off fear and anger and despair. I built a fortress around myself so that no one could hurt me. I watched the world from a distance, as if I were watching a movie. I was a good girl, always pleasant, always smiling, cool under pressure, but suffering inside. Despite everything, I survived. Keep on surviving. But that's not good enough.